Hello, I'm Kirsty Cullen, CEO at the Optimum Health Clinic, and delighted to join you again for our Cuppa and Chat series, where I am continuing to talk to Anastasia Smith from Genova Diagnostics. How can we assess nutrient deficiencies when considering fatigue, really as an insight into, I guess, the body's biochemical pathways and energy production and the blocks that may really antagonize that or prevent that from happening in an optimal way?
Yeah, so when we test someone's functional nutrient needs, we're not testing necessarily for deficiencies, or we're not testing specific nutrient levels. What we're looking at is the functioning of various biochemical pathways in the body, or metabolic pathways. So that might be energy production, it may be related to someone's oxidative stress, and therefore the impact that that can have on their energy production. And when we're thinking about metabolic pathways, we're thinking specifically about the functioning of certain enzymes that are responsible for these metabolic pathways to function properly. And at each of those junctions, we need specific cofactor nutrients. So they are vitamin and mineral dependent, those enzymes. And so what we're looking at is these chemical signatures called organic acids, which are produced as byproducts of those enzymatic pathways that are related to energy production and so forth. And we're looking at the levels of those chemical signatures to give us an insight into whether those enzymes are functioning properly. And depending on that, could they therefore have an insufficiency of a nutrient that is, that is needed for that enzyme to function properly. So for example, when we're looking at mitochondrial function, so the mitochondria, as I'm sure many of your followers know, are like the batteries of our cells. It's where we produce ATP, which is the body's sort of energy fuel source. And it's sort of when we start to produce less levels of ATP that we can start to experience symptoms such as fatigue, brain fog, low mood, etc. It can really affect us on a very global level. And so the test that we provide to look at someone's nutrient needs is a urine test, because that's where we find these chemical signatures, which, by the way, are called organic acids. And so these byproducts are giving us an insight into, could there be a bit of a metabolic block going on, or an inhibition or a deficiency that is preventing us from producing enough ATP. So the specific test that we offer is called the Metabolomix Plus. And through measuring those substances, organic acids, we are looking at someone's functional needs for over 40 nutrients. That includes antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, as well as someone's need for digestive support as well. We can also get an insight into microbial balance and someone's ability to absorb specific nutrients like amino acids, for example. We're also looking at someone's toxic exposure, a huge impact on our mitochondria. So that's one of the main elements. It's not just an insufficiency of nutrients, but also a buildup of specific toxins that can have a really negative impact on our ability to produce ATP. The test also gives us an insight into that. And then finally, oxidative stress markers. So we also test, in that test, we test specific markers that can give us an insight into someone's level of oxidative damage, which is so essential when it comes to mitochondrial health. And through that, we get an insight into someone's antioxidant status. So that's how we determine someone's need for specific antioxidants like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, glutathione, which are all essential for mitigating oxidative stress and preventing that buildup of oxidative damage.
Superb. So it is literally a wealth of biochemical data that we're collecting. Can you talk us through the practicalities of how we go about collecting that sample?
Yeah, so it's a very convenient home test kit. So it's a urine sample, first morning urine. So ideally fasted. because it's the first urine sample in the morning, it's not not a difficult test, should I say, to do. We recommend that if you want to get a key sort of baseline reading into someone's nutrient needs, that person, if they are on supplements, that they avoid those supplements 4 to 5 days prior to testing. However, if, for example, you as a clinician want to get an insight into your patients, whether the supplement program that you've offered them is meeting their needs, then you have them continue taking their supplements, and then you get an insight into that perspective.
Yes.
So it depends on what you're looking for. But of course, if you're doing the test for the first time, then you really just want a baseline reading, so really to get an insight into what's going on and how you can meet their needs.
So having collected this wealth of data, how directive is the report that you receive with this test? Obviously, you've got a practitioner there to help guide you through it, but how individualized is that reporting?
Yeah, so it's incredibly individualized. So we essentially use an algorithm to determine someone's needs based on those organic acid levels. And we present the specific suggested dosage recommendations for each of those nutrients on a convenient sort of one-page nutrient need overview, which gives you, the specific dosages on a pillar on the right-hand side next to the nutrients. They're based on age-specific reference ranges as well as gender-specific. So they're very much tailored to the individual as well as referenced next to a specific reference population, so that it is adequate for that person in the life stage that they are, as well as their gender.
Superb. It's just such a wonderful opportunity to identify those metabolic roadblocks. And I think what we find is it brings a lot of understanding for a client about how what's on the plate can relate to energy production and wellness at the other end. And actually, it really helps, I think, with compliance around dietary change. I don't know if that's your experience.
Yeah, so definitely. I think it really helps patients to have that data in a very concise and easy to read way. That's the great thing about Genova's reports, is that you with the main sort of flagship test, which includes the Metabolomix and the stool test, the GIFX comprehensive at least, you get this front page, which is a sort of convenient summary of the test results in a very visually sort of simple way of looking at it, using color coding and how should I say, just a very kind of easy visual representation of what's going on for that person. And I do believe that really helps with compliance, because it helps to facilitate a sort of easy understanding, because as you said, it's very complex, and a lot of the biomarkers are complex, so it helps to facilitate that clinician to patient communication, and therefore also compliance.
Fantastic. Anastasia, thank you so much. It's been really interesting to share my tea break with you, and hopefully our fatigue community have found that really interesting as well. So many thanks for sharing your time.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.